Welcome back to episode 2 of Podshots with your hosts Brandon Zemp and Clement Young. This week we talk about the essential of having a strong mindset and the things you can do to change yours. This week our liquor of choice is Jameson Irish Whiskey. And I gotta tell you folks, it's triple distilled, made from the finest grains of Ireland. Aged 4 years in an oak cask, just for your pleasure and taste. So we hope that you enjoy episode 2 and be sure to subscribe if you have not already. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. Cheers.
So, whatever.
And we're live. How you doing, Clement?
I'm good. I am good. Just relatively to the situation, I'm good. I'm getting kind of bored being here, but
I'm just enjoying my stash premium green tea.
Premium green tea. But you're in Colombia. Shouldn't you be enjoying
Premium.
your stash of premium?
Well, it's
Colombia?
definitely not at a premium. It's at quite a price cut here in Colombia. It is not pricey per se.
We don't like pricey here
No.
on Podshots.
No, we like things dirt cheap, fucking cheap. We're that cheap, guys. We don't spend a lot of money. We just
everything seems to be getting a bit cheaper, right now. But
right.
I mean, relatively speaking, I'm okay. It took me a while to recover from last episode. I'm not really used to just necking shots these days.
It's hard. It's hard, especially when
I want people
start
to realize
with Jose Cuervo. That's not easy either. That shit burns. That'll last a little while.
It does burn. Which, but the funny thing is, we decided to go like more crazy this time, in my opinion, because I feel like
you were feeling sick. I was feeling that burn, and you're like, it was such a good first episode that we should step it up. So, we went for the.
Did I?
We decided to go a little bit harder, something a little bit harder to shoot. A fine
liquor indeed.
Exactly. From the hills.
Mine's kind of gone down a little bit since I purchased it, but I'm not sure how that happened.
So, for the audience that doesn't know what Jameson is, this is Jameson. It is one of the finest, most distilled Irish whiskeys on the market, very mainstream. And we're going to find out, established since 1780.
Yeah, I was looking at that the other day. And I was like, that is a long time.
4 years after we declared independence from you motherfuckers. So you guys, apparently you got upset with all the colonial bullshit. We lost a bunch of colonials, poor British Empire. And you guys know 4 years later you came out with fucking Jameson.
It was like, now, boys, we have the chance to really focus on this.
Now we have the chance to get back at them.
We're going to make our own whiskey. Yeah.
Okay.
When did, when not Johnny Walker, Jack Daniels, when was Jack Daniels established?
I don't know that kind of knowledge off the top of my head.
Yeah, I think it was 18 something. It's been around for a long time.
Yeah, a lot of these brands actually have been around a long time. Jose Cuervo's been around a long time too, which is kind of cool. I mean, at least that like some of these brands have quite an established history. So I've drank a lot of alcohol that's been made.
Just want to put that out there.
Quite recently, like in the last 50 years. I'm not talking about something that's been put in a barrel and pulled out of the barrel, but like brand new company. Trying different things with alcohol because I kind of like to experiment and like see what different things taste like. But it's also cool when you start drinking some of these name brands. You kind of take them for granted when you see them on the shelf, but some of them are really good, like really good. Like you take Jose Cuervo for granted, or Jameson for granted, or Jack Daniels for granted, because it's less than $20, less than $15 sometimes, for a bottle. And it's not like this high premium alcohol, but I mean, you don't really appreciate the craftsmanship of something that could be so ordinary, right?
It would be really interesting to be able to go back in time and taste what it was like on the first kind of batch, like, oh, hey, we've just launched our new brand, everyone. you saw the note that was in the clutch of the pigeon recently.
They sent out carrier pigeons to let all their customers know that they have a new whiskey called Jameson.
Absolutely. Or this dude in a horse just rolls up to your front door and is like, "Hey, oi laddie, there's a new Irish whiskey in town. Come over tomorrow and have a free taster."
Me Lucky Charms and Jameson.
I don't know why we're doing this, but we're doing it. Yeah. So
new Jameson.
Yeah. I wonder if the flavor has changed that much, because the reason why I'm saying it is because nowadays we're so conscious of quality. We're so conscious of when we have like so many more, well, I guess centuries of knowledge on how to actually create a process that's efficient and does what it's supposed to do. Right. So like when you're talking about new brands that pop up, such as, well, Aviation Gin seems to be going pretty well. The Ryan Reynolds.
Thank you, Ryan Reynolds in Deadpool.
Gin. I wonder, I haven't tasted it, but I wonder what that, I'm sure that's going to taste good.
I want to try the proper 12. McGregor.
Yeah, me too.
I'm curious if it's any good. Some people have said it. Other people have been honest and been like, hey, it's actually not bad. Like I really want to bring it on at some point if I can find it in Colombia and give that shit like a whirl and see if it's actually any good. I want to try Aviation Gin too. Like, not you guys. I like Ryan Reynolds, but I want to try the gin because I don't usually like gin, but maybe this one will be different. Maybe he will surprise me.
Well, let's try and get it on the show at some point. We'll give him a mention and maybe he'll send a bottle over. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll start sending free stuff to Ryan Reynolds and be like, will you please come on Podshots just once?
3 pair of chopsticks that we just we got in our order now that you can have because we're not going to use them.
We'll just send him a special shot glass with his face on it or something, and we'll be like, hey, you want to come on the Podshots?
That's the thing, though, right? If you really want to get someone's attention these days, you really can get their attention, and it just depends on how creative you are with your approach. Like, for example, I've spoken to, I'm going to name drop a few things here because I feel like it makes sense given the conversation, but I wanted to speak to Seth Godin, and I did. I just emailed him, man. It was fucking easy. I wanted to speak to Ariana Huffington, and I did. I just emailed her. I mean, I didn't expect a response, but I got one. And there's a few different like avenues that you can. I used to have a business coach, and he's pretty big now. His name's Todd Herman. And Todd is a fantastic business coach based in New York. And he told me one of the best ways to get business is to just reach out to someone in a way they didn't expect and to give them a reason to get back to you. Don't ask for something, but like provide them with something and give them an avenue to respond. So what we did together was, and I'm dropping some like kind of premium knowledge here.
Yeah, here comes knowledge. Airdrop.
Here it comes. Get ready. One of the ways that we did that was we would take like very high quality paper, and we would use like a fountain pen. We would write a letter on the paper, and we would say things like, you know, by the way, I love what you've done with this. I love the book you wrote, specifically this paragraph. Because of this, because of that. And there's a whole psychology behind that. But we'd wrap it up and we would seal it with manuscript wax. Who does that? No one does that these days.
That's pretty unique.
When you get the letter in the mail, imagine you go to collect your mail one morning and you pull out this letter and it's in this really crispy, nice, like textured paper, and it's got like a wax seal in the back with, you know, your logo in it or whatever.
My like, first reaction would be like, what the fuck? Why'd this take 300 years to arrive?
Yeah, like which century am I living in right now? Did you pour one for the boys and the girls?
Already?
Yeah, we are going hard already.
Knowledge. I didn't know we were going.
Don't worry, I'm going to wait for you. It's fine. And there's no rush.
All right. I'm going to.
No rush.
I forgot there's like a little like safety.
But this is a very strong. This has a very harsh kick to it. You know how some alcohol just slides down the throat? This one fucking bounces down your throat.
Yeah, this one doesn't slide down. This one fucking punches the tonsils and the lymph nodes.
Exactly, yeah.
And is fucking clawing like Freddy Krueger. So, tink.
Tink.
Oh, nope. Fuck me. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay.
Yeah, which is why I've got like milk here. Well, it's tea, but it's got milk in it. I'm having like an Irish tea right now.
I'm having like, I'm feeling Irish right now.
I'm feeling very Irish right now. If we did the entire rest of the podcast in an Irish accent, do you think people would really mind?
I feel like the fucking Lucky Charms guy's about to pop out any moment.
I fucking had Lucky Charms earlier.
Oh my God. Fuck, I can still feel it. Okay.
Why? I feel like, okay.
So we were talking about, you were talking about, you know, outreach of celebrities and stuff like that, and how sometimes sometimes you got to be unique. You know, I've also noticed, I've done it too with a lot of people in the blockchain space, in the tech space, and it does work. I've done some unique things. I've like done like custom like boxes and shit, and I've tried to figure out like, so for example, I knew this girl that was an author. It's pretty well known in the Bitcoin space that wrote a book on Bitcoin that did really well. She's a Forbes 30 under 30 girl. She's done super well, runs a couple companies, digital nomad, whatnot. So I was just like, all right, I'm going to reach out to her. I like put together like a special box, and then I took one of my books and I signed it and I put it in the box and wrote her a special letter, you know, did like the whole old fashioned shit too. You know, put it all together, sent it to her. She fucking loved it. Had her on the podcast, talked to her all the time. She's a great friend now. It's really cool. I mean, people like that don't expect you to go the extra mile to do something unique to get their attention. The other aspect is most of these people, whether they're celebrities or famous or whatever it may be, they usually run through like an agent or an agency that like handles all of it for them. Because if you're getting, you know, thousands of inquiries every single week, you can't manage that, nor do you know what is legit and what's not legit, right? You know, so sometimes, you know, if you just figure out what their email is and you just fucking email them, sometimes they actually do respond. Just going directly to them and just being frank and honest and about who you are. And I've found that that does work sometimes too. But the biggest thing is if you're trying to get someone's attention or a number of people's attention, you just got to send them stuff. You got to actually like, you know, make a list of who you're trying to get attention and, you know, start sending out emails, start sending out letters. It doesn't have to be unique, but if you don't reach out, you're not going to have outreach. Your outreach will be zero.
I mean, yeah, it really I guess it depends on who you're trying to reach. You know, you'd be surprised how many of those high profile people actually use their own Instagram and read their own DMs. And, you know, once upon a time, I think we really did have to guess their email address. But nowadays, you can just message them, you know, you can just fucking leave a message in their inbox on Instagram and they might get back to you. I mean, it's very unlikely. They're probably getting like hundreds of messages a day.
Oh, absolutely. Like I DM Lil Pump all the time, but he's never going to respond to me. But there's a lot of companies that will though, because they do it for PR. Like I have a Roomba back in Oregon, and I used to put my Roomba on my Instagram all the time, and I'd constantly tag Roomba, and like every 4 or 5 tags, they would actually respond back to me or put me into their story. Some companies, they like that PR. They want you to feel valued as a customer, you know, and they'll do what they can to interact with you. And makes customers love the brand more. But you know, Instagram's another good avenue, because not everyone has a phone number, an email, or a contact to, you know, reach out to somebody. But on Instagram, I mean, you can go directly to whoever it is, pops up on their phone, whether they see it or not, doesn't matter. They, you know, you went directly to them. And it's another avenue to reach out to people and really get someone's attention. I've also found out that, you know, Twitter works very well for that. Not that you drop into the DMs on Twitter or whatever they're called, but when you just like at somebody, you know, and just like shout somebody out, a lot of the time they do respond. A lot of the time they really do. It's quite interesting. So Twitter's always been a good outreach program for me, and previously, like for my podcast and for other work related stuff. But reach out, people. Reach out, use your platforms, get on social
Yeah,
media.
don't feel scared. I think yeah.
Get off Facebook, Grandma.
Yeah.
Get on Instagram.
Oh, don't this Facebook. Facebook still got some serious power. I mean, especially if you're running ads. Like if you run ads on Facebook, you can reach a lot of people. You can get a lot of engagement. But now I'm not so sure now because obviously things have just gone tits up with everything. But
Nobody I know in my age group uses Facebook anymore. Like we all have Facebook. Sometimes we use Facebook to communicate with each other, but we don't really use Facebook. It's just like this
no,
glorified internet profile that we all have.
Yeah.
We're all like, the cool thing is Instagram. The cool thing is Snapchat. The cool thing is Twitter, even though it's been around fucking forever. The super cool thing is TikTok. Different ways for people to, engage with each other and interact on different mediums for different reasons. Like Instagram is becoming what Facebook was originally supposed to be, because Instagram is more engaging. It has a better algorithm. It's easier to use. It's simple. All you need is your phone. So that's a lot of reasons why Facebook bought Instagram. They saw that ahead of time. They were smart and they said, hey, we're going to jump on the trend and we're not going to become irrelevant. Imagine if Facebook didn't buy Instagram.
Yeah, would have been a nightmare.
Facebook would still be huge, but they would not be the kind of company they are today. Instagram has really helped them grow tremendously.
But like, there is a cycle to all of this, and all good things do come to an end. And we see that with things like Twitter. I mean, Twitter has definitely got a niche kind of appeal to people, but in terms of popularity and the breadth and width of an audience and engagement and usage, yeah, I think things definitely go through cycles. So I don't try to get tied to a platform as much as I do, because I love Instagram and I'm using it all the time. But I do know in the back of my head, I know that there's going to be a day when people just don't want to use it anymore that much, because it's been marketed like fuck. Like people have been advertising on it too much, and it just gets tiring. So yeah, but we were initially going to talk about like mindset. How to.
We can still talk about mindset.
We can do that. We can segue into it a little bit.
We can definitely do that. So let's cap off this whole social media trend then. And then we can move into mindset, 'cause I think that would be very valuable for people, given what's on in the world. But, with social media, we go through phases, we go through trends. It's Facebook was huge back in the day. Before Facebook, we had even MySpace.
Friendster.
Friendster, things like that. Instagram is at a peak right now. It is. I guess we could all agree that Instagram is the most popular social platform in the world, next to Twitter. Twitter is the biggest social voice in the world. Those are incredibly popular right now. The algos are great for those right now, but it's so oversaturated, and there are so many people that have been involved with it for so long, and you have a new generation of kids, of people that are moving into social media, that are getting phones for the first time. They're accessing the internet in different ways for the first time, that want different avenues. Platforms that are exploding right now. Twitch is really pushing YouTube to the edge. You have TikTok really starting to challenge all the cool things you can do on Instagram now. So the Instagram is great to utilize for a social profile, for an identity, for business, whatnot. But the cool aspect, the fun aspect to Instagram, it's being taken away from Instagram and Facebook by TikTok. And TikTok's growing tremendously as a company, because they figured out how to take videos and make them go viral very, very often. And that creates trends, that creates patterns, that creates interest, that draws people in, sucks people in. And Gary Vee has talked about this a billion times too, and he was preaching this for quite a while. And he was right. He was right again. TikTok is going to be the next big platform. Twitch is going to be the next big video and streaming platform next to YouTube, maybe even surpassing YouTube at this rate with how big esports is getting. Then you'll see new things open up in the virtual reality world, augmented reality world, where you'll see social media change and how we actually use it and interact with it.
Oh, dude, I was trying to get my hands on an Oculus Quest, and they are sold out everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Mine is at home in Oregon, and I am not in Oregon, so I'm very mad that I'm stuck at home without my Oculus Quest. I used to go into Oculus every single night for at least an hour and play Cards Against Humanity. I would go play Cards Against Humanity with about 10 other people that I have no idea who they are, but we'd have a
Oh, that's where you did it? Yeah, you told me about that.
And then you could pull up a YouTube or URL screen like in the side of your window, like on your face. So like you could be playing Cards Against Humanity with all your friends, and then you could also be watching videos at the same time as you're walking around, and they can hear everything you're watching. So we used to pull up Pornhub and start watching Pornhub while we were playing games and running around in VR. And people would just be like, what is that? What's going on that guy's other side of the mic? Like, what's happening, man? What's happening?
The shenanigans. VR
is a lot of fun. It's so much fun.
It looks really good fun. And it's the cool thing about the Quest is you can take it anywhere you want. There's no cables. You don't need to connect it to a PC. And you still get a really good experience, apparently. So, yeah, that would be my first dive into VR. So I'm going to get my hands on one. I just don't know when it's going to be. And but it'll definitely help me, I suppose, kill time a lot better.
It will. I'll tell you what, two things. One, it'll suck you in a lot. It's really hard to take the headset off. It's a lot of fun. There's so much you can do. Everything from going to live sporting events like basketball games, football games, stuff like that, soccer games, to, meeting new people and interacting in a virtual environment and, being somewhat anonymous, being able to fuck around if you want, talk about whatever you want, do whatever you want. It's addicting. It's a different kind of addiction that I think people are going to start realizing. And at the same time, the other part is it gives me a fucking headache. Headsets, they're really cool. The experience is great, but it hurts my fucking head. Like it's like squeezing my scalp. I can just feel neurons just like screaming apocalyptic death tones as this headset's like on my face. And there's got to be something wrong with putting a lens on your face and a blue light like flashing multiple times in front of your face, in front of your eyes for hours on end.
That refresh rate, I think, isn't it? And well, it's partly to do with that. The refresh rate is less than you would normally get in real life. So
yeah, I'm a little worried about how that might affect cognitive function, circadian rhythm, sleeping, things like that.
Well, we already have some of that happening with regular devices like laptops, phones specifically, which is why if you kind of go down and this is part of the body hacking kind of aspect of this conversation is how do you mitigate the electronic exposure that you have every day to your devices? And one of the cool ways of doing that is beyond obviously putting them down at a certain time of the day and not picking them up until a certain time of the day the next day is to use like the night shift feature or the red light feature, which most people are starting to become aware of now, but I think most people don't yet know what it is. It's trying to match the normal rhythm of the sun as it kind of goes over the earth and around and sort of like dawns and then
let's get scientific.
Let's get scientific about this
as we pivot with a shot here. You ready?
Ooh.
Ready? It's time for a pivot.
Okay, man, let's do this. Luckily, I've got tea. Like I said, this is very acidic, and that's one of the things that like burns your throat. So if you wash it down with some good old animal fat.
Well, I got some good old tea. I got some good old agua.
Agua.
Fuck, man.
Chink.
Mm.
Ooh, Jameson. It says Jameson at the bottom. That's his name.
Oh, I can feel my accents turning already. Oh,
fuck me.
Fuck no. Fuck me.
I think the next one I'm gonna anally insert.
I might have to just do an IV for the next one. They can hook me up. All right.
Yeah. So the way that I understand the science of this whole thing is that when the sun dawns, the angle of the light entering the atmosphere is such that there's a greater distance between it getting through the atmosphere to your eye. So the blue light gets cut out, like filtered out. And we've kind of evolved over time to our bodies have kind of learned to adjust and kind of power down the redder the light.
That also has to do with hormone production. So in the brain, you have photoreceptors. These photoreceptors, they only fire generally when they respond to light. And usually these photoreceptors are attached to the release of certain hormones, certain compounds, like melatonin, for example, that makes you want to go to sleep, that puts you into your circadian rhythm, that puts you into REM sleep. Yeah, your favorite chemical. Mine's cocaine. So I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. Am I? Am I? I am in Colombia.
He is in Colombia. There's a reason why he's
so many views right now. So half of you think I'm a drug addict. The other half probably think that I'm just.
If you were a drug addict, I think it would show. Have you seen Lindsay Lohan? Yeah.
I mean, I do look kind of tired, so I probably do look like a drug addict.
You've been stuffing your face with it last night.
I know. I can feel it in my sinuses, bro.
Jesus.
I'm kidding. Again, guys, I'm kidding. But yeah, we have photoreceptors in the brain that, regulate certain hormone production, certain chemical production, things like melatonin, things like HGH, things that wake us up, put us to sleep. And that forms our circadian rhythm. So when you have the sun in the sky during the day, you're producing different hormones, things that keep you awake, that keeps your brain ticking. And then once the sun goes down, why do you feel tired? You feel tired because there's a lack of blue light. That blue light is not stimulating those photoreceptors, not producing normal hormones. You're starting to pump in more melatonin. There's a lot of connections between the brain and the gut as well that regulates your appetite and the times you need to eat, the times you need to stop digestion, being in a catabolic state, an anabolic state. There's a lot that we could go into on that. But the importance about the blue light is that you don't want to consume it in the evening. So when you're on your phones, your devices and whatnot, they're bright. They produce a lot of blue light. When you're on a VR headset or an iPad or a laptop.
Nothing pisses me off more than being with someone who at nighttime is watching Instagram with the brightness right up and no blue light filter on it.
Exactly.
It's like, what are you doing? Do you realize?
Essentially, what you're doing is you're fucking over your brain, and you're telling your brain that it's not time to go to bed. You shouldn't produce these chemicals, and you should not get an adequate amount of REM sleep, and that has a lot of repercussions on your health.
Right, and your well-being. Right, the next day you might feel like crap.
Exactly, and that that can affect your hormones. That can affect your gut biome. That can affect a lot of other chemicals. It can make you moody. And over time, it'll age you. There's a lot of issues with that. So there's a reason why so many people nowadays are preaching that. And there's a lot of options on just about every mainstream smartphone or, device you have to turn that off. You have night mode on like the iPhone. You have, I forgot what it is on the Samsung, but it changes the tint of the screen, makes it a softer, like warmer color, easier to look at. I turned
something you'd have to custom install, but it became so popular that it's just part of the firmware.
Yeah, and they that should be the default. To be honest, I know it kind of like messes with the resolution for like certain videos and stuff, or not the resolution, but it throws off the pixelation.
Yeah, it looks weird. It's like I don't like watching
vibrancy.
movies with it on. You know what I mean?
No, I wouldn't watch a movie with it on, but it should be the default, or it should automatically switch. These companies are smart enough that when you watch a video, it should just go back to normal. And then when you're using your phone as normal, reading something, texting someone, it should go into that almost night mode all the time. You really shouldn't be throwing your brain off like that. It's terrible for your health. So was Jameson.
Jameson isn't a very good sleeping aid, as contrary to what many would believe.
It's a very good sleeping aid. You have enough of this, you're going to sleep very well, my friend. You're not going to wake up.
I think the quality, you'll fall asleep, but I think the quality of the sleep will be awful.
You're going to be passed out on a bale of hay next to a couple pigs. Someone's going to be waking you up, dousing you with water.
There's something so romantic about this bottle, for example. Like you always
distilled, matured and bottled in Ireland, the Bow Saint Distillery, Dublin.
Alcohol is incredibly romanticized in popular culture. It's just one of those things that it does make you feel good for a certain amount of time before you've got too much in your system and then you start to feel shit. But I think overall it's like there's a propaganda behind this, and it's not healthy at all, man. We can have a few drinks, but some of these things are incredibly bad for you. But
I'll tell you what. So I have had a lot of Jameson before. So it's not the first time I've had Jameson, but I think this might be the first time I've done shots of Jameson.
Right.
And I'm not liking the shots. It's harsh, but I'll tell you what. If you take Jameson, and it is a good Irish whiskey. If you pour it over, you get a glass, couple cubes of ice, you pour it over, you sit out on your porch watch the sunset. It's nice and warm, you got your sunglasses on, you're feeling like a douchebag. I'm telling you, it's very smooth. It's very, very smooth. I enjoy it. It's actually more smooth to me than, let's say, a Patron or a Don Julio tequila, which is very fucking smooth and great over ice. And I love drinking that over ice all the time. But Jameson, which is a lot cheaper, has that same quality. And as a Irish whiskey, I guess you could call it a Scotch, it's very smooth and it has a better taste. I don't know. I like it better cold than I do just shooting it. It feels rough, but cold, some of these rough drinks, if you know how to drink an alcohol properly, you're going to enjoy it a lot more. Mm-hmm. I recommend you drink this Jameson over some ice. Just one glass, a little cube or two, put on your douchey sunglasses, put on some socks. Don't let your fucking feet air out. We don't want to see that. Kick back on your porch, Would
you say that this is a better whiskey than many of the Scottish ones from Speyside?
No. And that's not the shit on Jameson. Jameson's awesome. I drink a lot of Jameson when I'm not drinking tequila, but there are some very, very good Irish whiskeys, some very good Scotch. And we will try some of that. We will try another one next week. I'm not going to tell you now, but we will. And we're going to step up our game too. We're not just going to do some mainstream alcohol all the time. We're going to do some new stuff. Yeah. We're going to do some, every once in a while, we'll do something nice.
Let's get some of that Aviator gin in. I think that would be interesting.
We'll definitely try the Aviator gin. We'll do some stuff that we want to speculate on. Find out if it's
Crystal Head vodka too. I want to try that. That's a beautiful looking bottle.
I've seen it in the store. I think what would suck is if you bought the Crystal Head vodka and it's such a nice bottle. It just looks so cool on the shelf. But if it tastes like shit, I'm gonna be so mad. You can't do that. If you have such a cool bottle like that, it has to be good.
There's a reason why it's very expensive. I mean, he went through the whole process on an interview with Joe Rogan, I think, and it's a lengthy I don't know what the process is like for the average vodka production, but they go to great lengths to ensure that it's filtered properly. But they run it through crystals. which is why it's called Crystal Head vodka. So there is a reason behind the etymology of the name.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'm really excited to try that. So we can do that. That's a mainstream one because it's available in things like Costco, places like Costco.
Let's be honest though. When you run your alcohol over crystals, it's more of a vanity thing. Again, I'm not trying to shit on them either, but you're not going to change the fucking alcohol, run it over some fucking crystals. Let's just be honest. Okay, should we move on?
I'm pretty confident you're right with that, although I haven't done the tests myself, and I would be willing to say there's probably going to be no difference.
I'm just telling you, I'm not paying a premium just because they poured it over a fucking crystal.
Right.
I'm just going to go get some fucking Jameson if they're going to do that shit.
We can read up on it and find out what they really do to make it that expensive. I think it's pretty expensive. I think it's
we're going to try it. We're going to try it. I'm going to find it here in Colombia and we're going to try it. And we're going to give them a review.
Yeah, if you can get your hands on that, that would be awesome because we can try that maybe the week after next. But yeah. Anyway, so getting back to the whole thing.
You want to shift to mindset, or do you have another?
Yeah, like I think that was a good one because that was a good that whole kind of electronic devices and how to mitigate that. That's a big impact on your mindset, because if you're not feeling like you're rested, which essentially that's solving that whole process solves a lot of the problem of being rested, right? So the quality of your sleep, for example. Then your mindset's going to be off. And right now, I think mindset is everything. Like
mindset is everything.
Mindset is everything because, you know, it's the difference between waking up feeling defeated and terrified, and the difference between waking up feeling excited about the opportunities that are in front of us and happy to help others because you're grateful. And those are heavily influenced chemically. So that was a great way to kind of go into that conversation. But I think really when we say mindset, where there's a lot, that's a fully loaded topic. There's so much we could talk about when it comes to setting your mindset properly. And we're talking about essentially reaching the potential that you have to be the best version of yourself. Your mindset is the key to unlocking everything else that comes after that, because you're not going to be able to do your best if you don't feel like doing your best. You can try, you'll probably succeed to a certain degree, but you'll burn out just like anyone else who's trying to, let's say, run a business they're not passionate about, or be with someone they're not entirely into. You're going to burn out and you're going to want to start again. So,
but what can people do? So I think that's what we should talk about, and I got notes.
Ooh. Is it a Filofax or is that?
Dude, this is an iPad.
Okay, because from behind it looks like a Filofax with a pen on the side.
No.
I actually had not a Filofax, but I had a journal. So I was like, oh, he's brought his journal out.
Yeah, my digital journal.
Stylish.
I know.
Come on, then. What notes have you got?
Let's look at my notes. Okay. You got to just fucking believe, man. You got to start believing in yourself. You got to start believing in, hold on. It just keeps saying that it keeps disconnecting and then reconnecting.
Yeah, your sound dropped out for about 3 seconds.
Okay. I think I might have wiggled the cord. Okay. But you can hear me, right?
He said. That's what he said every night these days.
Will you wiggle my cord tonight?
Excuse me, but we must finish this podcast soon. I must wiggle my cord.
Yeah, would you like to have some Jameson and wiggle my cord? Okay, that got really weird. Okay, back to mindset. You have to believe. Okay, you got to believe in yourself. You got to walk with some swagger. You have to just find that energy. You got to wake up in the morning. You got to know that whatever the day presents to you, you have to be able to tackle it and be able to handle it. Part of that is just having confidence in yourself. And there's a lot of things you can do to do that. But you have to explore those things. I mean, some that might be making an awesome breakfast in the morning, and getting yourself powered up and full of energy for the day. That might be singing in the shower to your favorite music playlist. I don't know what it is. That might be jacking off 3 times to Britney Spears or Kim Kardashian or Mulan. I don't know, but you got to figure out what gets you going in the morning. When the first thing you wake up, you have to be in a mindset where you feel like a badass, where you feel like
one of the things that really worked for me and for others that I've spoken to is having, because this is conscious, right? We're doing this consciously so that we can do it subconsciously later. We're priming ourselves, and it's hard because subconsciously maybe we're lax and we're conditioned to be a little lazy about this stuff. But so we're priming ourselves, and change is always quite challenging. And one of the things that really helps me is watching videos on YouTube of inspirational messages, or people like, I mean, at one point it was Tony Robbins. I think now kind of moved on, and I've kind of soaked up a lot of the things that he has to offer, and I remember them pretty well. So, but at one point, Tony Robbins, and he was a catalyst for changing my mindset about life, about my paradigm, about what was possible and what wasn't. It's really, it's almost the difference between watching the news in the morning and just watching something that's incredibly motivating, because they're very different. And most people would wake up and watch the news. I mean, really, they would put it on, they'd have their breakfast, and they already know all the shit things that are going on in the world, and they haven't had anything that's kind of motivating them to actually be happy.
Right. Well, the thing here is, Tony Robbins talks about this. Gary Vee talks about this. It doesn't matter who you listen to. All these people talk about it. They're doing motivational videos. They're finding ways to pump people up. But they say it all the time, and I agree with them. You have to be able to motivate yourself. You shouldn't be relying on them or these videos to empower you in the morning. Yes, it's great to watch it as a reminder to get you going, but you should not rely on that. You should find a way to wake up in the morning, whether it's a quote or something you do or something you feel or believe, or it doesn't matter. Something has to hold weight inside of you to empower you to get up and go fucking murder the day. So that's what you ultimately have to find. If you're relying on a single video or two to pump you up every single morning, then you're incredibly shallow. And that's just the reality. And that's not the shit on you either. I'm shitting on a lot of people today. But you have to figure out how to empower yourself, inspire yourself, every single morning. You got to find it within yourself, and you got to do it without relying on someone else. If you want to grow as a person, you have to do that. If you don't want to grow as a person, fine. Rely on the video, rely on the audio, whatever it may be. But if you want to grow as a person, you have to find a way to light that spark inside you.
Right. It's like embracing the difficulty of just doing the right thing, embracing the challenge of doing what's right for you and for everyone else. Because ultimately that's what we're talking about here. If whatever you're challenged with in life, tackling it would be the right thing, but it's difficult. And you can get inspiration from others, but ultimately you have to learn to enjoy the process. I was watching a video of Gary Vee earlier, and oh my God, we've mentioned him every episode, so we need to get him to come on one day. But I was watching a video this morning, and he was talking to an 18-year-old my son of migrants in the U.S. And he cried. First time I've seen Gary cry on camera, but it's because they were talking about working for the family and what it means. And it might not be the most exciting thing in the world, but at 18 years old, if you get the chance to work with your father or your mother or whatever, and it's for 7 years or 8 years, you're going to be still super young by the time you're finished. Plus you'll have spent time with your parents, which is amazing, because that's the ultimate thing. They're not going to be around forever, and you'll get to learn quickly. And by the time you're finished, you'll still be super young, and you'll be able to do whatever you want. Theoretically, you'll be able to do whatever you want. So he was just saying, do whatever you're passionate about in your spare time. But if you can find a way to love the challenge, there's so much there in life for you in this period of time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people get hooked on the negatives of their situation, and they wish that they could be in another situation. Like I've done that so much in my life, where I've kind of blamed something external for my unhappiness. But ultimately, all I needed to do was just change the way I feel about it, and then all of a sudden, it became doable. It became necessary. It became like not my passion, but it became something that I was okay with. And I think that that's the key, is like priming yourself so that you can, like you just explained to everyone,
Mm-hmm.
you got to find a way to man up and like just do what needs to be done, and not have to rely on external, changes in your environment or whatever. It's coming from within ultimately.
Yeah. I mean, there's like three parts to this. There's like, obviously you have to kindle that flame, and you have to be able to motivate yourself. The second part of it is, as you're going through your daily life every single day, you have to stop giving a fuck so much. I feel like people do that. And there's a book called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson.
Yes.
It is very good. It is very good, people. It's not one of those books that's a joke. Yeah, he drops the F-bomb every 2 sentences, but it's good advice, and he speaks the truth. And when you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. You go through your day, and there's a lot of people that try and bring you down. There's a lot of negative energy. There's a lot of bad things happening on the TV and the news. Like, we have a virus going around right now, killing people, making people sick. We're stuck in our home. Some of us in quarantine, some of us under martial law. We have markets that are collapsing. There's so many negative things. Yet, I'm here. I don't give a fuck, and I'm drinking Jameson, and we're doing this podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, that also has a huge impact on your mindset. You have to stop giving a fuck, and you have to realize that every fuck you give costs you a lot, because fucks are expensive. It's the most expensive currency in the world. If you're going to choose to give a fuck, make sure that it's worth giving a fuck, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Don't waste it on people and situations that don't really matter, things that are temporary and that are going to pass, things that aren't important. Only give a fuck when it matters.
This is a really important point that you're just talking about right now for me, because this is essentially like, whatever you focus on, you get more of. Mm-hmm. So if you're focusing your energy on negative stuff, surprise, you're going to get more negative stuff, because it's like a repeating loop of energy. And you believe it or not, you're going to draw that in, because now all of a sudden you're focused on that. So you're going to start seeing more things that resonate with that. Whereas if you break the cycle, and people have trouble with this, like my friends have trouble with this, I have trouble with this, but if there's someone in your life that is like negative and causing you to spend your energy and time on things that stress you out and make you feel like shit and stop you from doing the things you want to do, one of the best things to do is just to cut those people free. If you can't cut them free, just to put them to the side for a while and focus elsewhere.
Absolutely.
We're talking about family members. We're talking about friends.
It doesn't matter who it is. And it's not like you're being disrespectful. If that person's being negative and dragging you down and creating problems in your life, they're the ones being disrespectful. It doesn't matter if it's family or friends or colleagues. It doesn't matter who it is. If you feel like they're dragging you down and being negative, inflicting this sort of mental pain into your life, you can cut them out temporarily. You can cut them out permanently. That's your choice. But you have to make that decision, and you have to do it swiftly, and you have to be consistent about doing that with people. And, it doesn't mean that you can't be friends with someone. That doesn't mean you can't talk to someone, but how much are you going to value their opinion? How much does their opinion weigh on your personal scale? You have to keep that stuff in mind as you go through life.
Have you ever, can you remember when you've been in a situation where you've done something or you haven't done something, and you look back and you think to yourself, that wasn't what I wanted. Like I did something against my values, or I did something because of someone else, or because of how I felt
Exactly.
about someone else. That's an awful feeling. It's like you're betraying yourself.
Mhm.
So that happens a lot when you're around someone you don't want to be around, but you feel like you should be because you've had a relationship with them before and there's already these rules set, and they're, you know, you don't want to upset them. But honestly, it's just like fucking, it's bliss on the other side, man. It's bliss on the other side. And they'll understand. Like sometimes you don't even have to, sometimes you don't even have to worry about what they're going to think, because the best way to deal with it is just to tell them straight up, but like politely and directly, and just tell them, look, I can't spend time with you anymore. Like we're not on the same level anymore, and I feel like it's best if we're, you know.
Yeah, you know, sometimes that bluntness, people don't get that a lot. You know, people are very wishy-washy. People don't say exactly how they feel. Like most people go through the world with this form of cognitive dissonance where they believe one thing and they do something anyways. They might think that someone's a bad influence on them, but they'll still go get pizza with them, you know, or whatever. So that causes a lot of problems too. But you know, when you're blunt and you just say fuck it and you're honest with people, and you know, a lot of people aren't used to that. When you put them on a pedestal like that and you say and you call out their bullshit, or you call them out for, you know, being the kind of person that they're pretending to be or acting like, you know, sometimes, you know, that will drive them out of your life completely. Sometimes that'll change them. You really
Yeah,
don't.
like
But
it's
you
actually
have to be honest like that with people, for not just for yourself, but you know, for their sake, because they might not understand that they're doing that. And when you're blunt and honest with them, they're going to reflect on that heavily. That's what humans do. They're going to look in the mirror and they're going to be like, shit, maybe something is wrong with my attitude. Maybe something is wrong with how I've been walking through life. Maybe I am a bad influence on people. Maybe I should evolve. You know, you have to be honest, not just for yourself, but for other people. If there was more honesty, the world would be a lot better. It really would.
I'm not the best at that, but I'm getting better, and I feel like
It's hard.
the thing that keeps me going is just asking myself, why would I not want to be like that? Why would I not want to tell someone the truth? Because as much as it might hurt in the short term, what's the alternative? Just keep the illusion going longer so that they continue to be that way, or I continue to be unhappy, or I can, you know, that Jordan Peterson talks about this. He explains how he developed the ability to just talk freely the truth. And the way that he reconciles with that is he says, it's the right thing. And if you live your life and you don't do the right thing, why are you even living? You know, what's the point?
Exactly.
So yeah, that's a very philosophical way to look at it, but you're doing the right thing, and the right thing is always the right thing.
Yeah, it is. And you just got to be honest with people. That's really what it boils down to. Like, stop living in this illusion. Like, stop allowing other people to live in that illusion as well. I'm not saying you have to interject into someone else's life, but when they're affecting your own life in all kinds of ways, especially in a negative way, you know, I'm not saying that you have to give a fuck. Don't give a fuck. But I mean, you know, be honest with them too. Stop giving a fuck about hurting them or their feelings, and talk to them. Be honest with them. That's the biggest thing there. The other thing that I want to bring up regarding mindset is you have to establish values and standards for yourself. And you know, that is totally at your discretion, and it's subjective to you as a person. But you have to have those values, and you have to be firm with them. You have to carry a
What
big
are these things then? Like, what kind of explain? Because I think many
Yeah.
might not understand truly what that
Sure.
means.
You know, as a man, you got to carry a big bratwurst, bro. You do. You gotta be firm with what you believe and carry a big fucking stick. As a man, that's what you have to do. Whatever your values are, whatever it may be, whatever you believe in, whatever your standards are. Like, if your standards are, I want to hang out with only 15 people as friends and no more than that, and I want them to be successful, and I want them to push me, and I want a girlfriend that's motivating and that's also successful. Great. If those are your standards, stick to them and don't stoop any lower. There's a lot of people out there in this world. You'll find them if you go look. Find people that, fit into the category of what your standards are. If you're a woman, I mean, the same thing holds true. For a woman, obviously, they experience life in society mostly a lot differently than men do. So yeah, there's a different approach to it. But, as a woman, you've got to ooze confidence. And I'm not a woman, so I'm not going to tell you how to be a woman. I'll never do that. But, as a man, I'll tell you the most attractive thing to see in a woman is confidence. When a woman walks into a room and she can captivate the whole room, not just with her body, but, with her mind and the way she approaches things and with confidence.
For a healthy man. That's the sexiest thing for a healthy man.
Yeah, well, that's what you want, women. That's what you want. You want a healthy man. You want a good man.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
If that's the kind of man you want, as I'm sure it is, that's what we look for in a woman. You want that kind of mindset. You want a woman that can walk into the room and who feels like the fucking boss, who feels like the shit, right?
Yeah.
That kind of stuff's important. You have to, for men, it's carrying a big stick and being confident. For a woman, it's more mental. You have to stop worrying about your body all the time. Yeah, we love great bodies. We're guys. But I mean, a good guy, a smart guy, the kind of guy that you really want is looking for a woman with a very powerful mindset, who's very determined and knows exactly what she wants to do. That's called a woman. There's a lot of girls out there that are being girls. A lot of those girls need to start being women. The more you do that, I'm telling you, the more your life will change as well, and your mindset. And again, I'm not preaching to women, telling how a woman should be or what a woman should do, but from a guy's perspective, that's what we find most attractive. And I can tell you that, I mean, that would be in your best interest as well. Carry a big mindset, be strong and firm in your beliefs.
It's like you're basically saying, if you want to attract that kind of a person, you have to exhibit the energy that they're going to resonate with.
Right.
And same for men. And even if it's not a romantic relationship, if it's a friendship, or if it's
partnership, business partnership, or
right, it could be anything, it could be professional. So you just have to we're getting into relationships here, but it is a mindset thing too. It's recognizing that you can make choices that are different. I was thinking about that this morning. I was like, when it comes to well-being, it's not like we need to do anything significant to actually really make a huge impact in our life. For example, it's really all about making better decisions. And we don't have to go and buy anything or acquire anything or work to build anything necessarily to actually be able to make those choices. It really is understanding, that we're capable of doing it in the first place, which a lot of people don't think they're capable of doing it for whatever reason. Conditioning, bad programming, being like your parents bringing you up, or if it was a relationship you were in that was pretty traumatic, or it's like a message you've been soaking up your whole life about why you need to be this way. Maybe it's a message you made for yourself. Maybe it's something that you're consuming every day, all day, because you're telling yourself these things in your mind. But ultimately, every single one of us is capable of making a different choice. And no, you don't need permission from anyone, which is why I'm saying it's actually relatively pretty simple to make massive changes to your life. It's just most people won't do it because they don't believe they can.
Mm-hmm. I think the other day we were talking about how the world, let's do a shot before we do this one, because this is a good one. Tink.
Good thing. Fuck.
God damn it.
Oh, damn.
Why do we do this
Why did we
podcast?
come up with this name for the podcast?
Why did we do shots? Why couldn't it be wine?
Pod drinks.
Why couldn't it be wine and cheese? Okay.
Pod tails. No, that doesn't sound right.
Pod and brie. Pod and crackers.
Damn it. Okay.
Okay. I was going to say that. Okay. So the other day we were also talking about mindset, but we were talking about, or I was talking about how the world is a manifestation of the mind. You have to remember that, yes, mindset is important. Mindset is everything, but mindset is everything. When you look outside, everything you see is a manifestation of what your mind is allowing you to perceive. Everything you hear, smell, taste, touch, view of the universe is a manifestation of your mind. If you were a bee, the world would look completely different. If you were a dog, the world would look completely different.
If you were drunk, it would look different.
Exactly. If you were drunk, everything would look different. If you were on shrooms, everything would look different. If you were dreaming, everything would look different. Everything you perceive comes from the mind. Life, interactions, social interactions, the way you feel, your emotions, your hormones, all of these things stem from your mind. Everything is created within the mind. You have to remember how powerful that is. Now, if you can understand how powerful your own mind is, and it doesn't matter who you are, we all have the same brain. If you can do that, and you can rewire yourself to be motivated, to be inspired, to be confident, you will be surprised how far you can go in life with just this tool. It is very powerful. That's important for people to remember. That's important for people to really take away, especially from this podcast, is how powerful your mind is. And when you put your mind to something, it can make you a very fucking scary person.
Do you believe that in order to get what it is that you want, you have to first do the thing that you're scared of doing that would lead you there? Like, for example, I don't know if I explained that right, but I used to have a real issue doing public speaking.
Yeah.
And I realized the only way I was ever going to get good at it was to actually do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
when I was 18, I got invited to speak at the Northwest Autism Foundation for a charity event for a gala banquet. And I've never given a speech before, and I was 18. Right. The biggest speech I've ever given was in front of my class of 20 students in high school.
Right.
I recited poetry. I recited Hamlet to 20 students. That was the scariest thing I've ever done in my entire life. And then I went to this banquet and I had to give this speech. There were over 300 people there, all having dinner, all of them far older than I was. I was the youngest person on stage speaking. And it was something that, would normally freak me out. And it kind of did a little bit, but I was in the right mindset going into it, knowing that if I can do this, and then any gathering of 299 people and less will feel like nothing. So I went into it, I hyped myself up. I told myself that I was a badass, that I was giving a speech because I was wanted there. Why are you giving a speech? Why are you there? Why are you in that situation? Because right. there is desire for you to be there. People want to hear what you have to say.
Yes.
So when it comes to public speaking, you have to keep in mind that you're there to provide value because people want your value. So give it to them. Stop being a bitch and get on stage.
Yeah, because you're worrying so much that you might fuck up and that they might not like you and that
No, they do like you. They like you before you even got there. That's why you're there. Right. You're getting on stage because they want to hear from you. It's one of the stupidest things that I've ever heard. Like it's why you have stage fright? If you're getting on stage, it's because people wanted you to be there. There are people that wanted you to talk, to perform, to sing, whatever, because you have a talent, because you're good at something, because you have knowledge. So why are you scared of that? You shouldn't be. Yeah, there's a lot of people, but that should excite you. Instead of looking at it as 300 people judging you, look at it as 300 people worshiping you. Get on stage.
We have a really, we're really good at projecting ourselves onto others. So we end up believing that they believe what we believe, which is kind of fucked up. But it's not, it's almost never true, you know, like, so, and even to the point where you would create a piece of content and put it online and you'd get a negative comment, someone who's really being trolling with you, someone who's being very negative and makes you feel bad. But when you think about it, it's not, it's probably nothing to do with you. It's probably because they're in a bad mood, something's happened in their personal life, or they just got to that point where they need to lash out at others because of how they feel. And very, 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 very rarely is it because of anything you've done that you could have avoided doing. Like if you're just genuinely going out and trying to be a good person and do the right thing and do your job and like help people or whatever, or just express yourself, I honestly think we have a really good way of making it about ourselves when it's really not. And I tell that to people who are worried about doing X, Y, and Z. They come over to me and they say, oh, hey, Clement, I don't know, you know, I don't know whether I'm good enough for this. And I'm like, just chill. Most people aren't even worried about you failing or seeming like you're failing or not being as good as you think you could be, because they're just there to soak it up. They're just there to learn. They're just there to listen. And yeah, we put too much pressure on things, and I think we blow things out of proportion. And it's the lizard brain. It's like the whole kind of like survival mode thing. I don't want to be ostracized socially. I think we have that ingrained in ourselves because that was just a survival instinct. But nowadays, we don't really need that anymore. And yeah, so you can educate yourself, I guess. You can really read up on these things and you can learn a lot, and you can kind of like, if you're logical, you can start to paint a picture of the reality as opposed to what you thought was the reality. But ultimately, yeah, confidence in yourself is I think that's the foundation, isn't it? It's like,
it's hard. I'll tell you what, I mean, even for me personally, having enough confidence to get on a stage like that in front of a lot of people and give a speech, having enough confidence to walk out on a football field in front of thousands of people and perform at the level you know you can perform at, having the confidence to listen to your voice every single day and do a podcast, or to put your face on video and do something that could potentially be viral at some point, and that thousands, if not millions of people could eventually watch and judge and criticize and pick apart. You have to, again, it goes back to, you got to stop giving a fuck so much. You need to be in the moment, feed off of the energy of that. Like if you're in front of a crowd where there's a ton of people, and I've had this experience in sports a lot, where you walk out onto a football field, because I played football most of my life, and you're playing in a very big game that might be the difference between you playing in a championship game and your season being over, and there's thousands of people watching you, and you know you're a good player, and there's a lot of expectation for you to perform not only normally but at the highest level, and everyone on the other side of the field is trying to take your fucking head off, and you're on the other side of the field, you know, and you're trying to take all this stimulus in, you're trying to take the lights in, you're trying to deal with the people that want to fucking murder you within a 12-15 second play. You know, there's things like that, and sports has always been a good analogy for things. But you know, at least with football, what I've learned is when you're in those pressure situations, you need to live in that moment. You need to take it in. You need to absorb that energy and let it not only give you confidence in who you are and what you can do, but you also have to let it fill your mindset. You have to let it, in some ways take you over. And I'm not sure how well to explain that. If you're in sports, you understand this. In sports, it's called butterflies. In sports, before a big event, you get incredibly nervous. You feel sick, like to your stomach, and you start throwing up and vomiting. It's called butterflies. And then you walk out onto a field, and all this energy rushes into you. And all of a sudden, you perform at the best level possible. And that's called being in the zone. Being in the zone is when you're locked in and you're focused, and there's only one thing that matters, and that's what you have to do. In sports, that's called butterflies, and that's called being in the zone. And in whether it's giving a speech, whether it's doing a podcast or being on a video, whether it's talking to someone that makes you nervous, whether it's someone you like in terms of relationship, whether it's approaching someone that's a friend of yours who you're trying to be honest with, whether, I don't know, anything, it doesn't matter. You have to, your mindset has to be revolved around this idea of being in the zone, like locked in and focused on doing what you have to do in that moment and what's important. And if you can do that, out of that will come confidence. Out of that will come a stronger mindset. Out of that will come positivity, optimism, many great things. And I'm not sure if you have a sports background. Maybe you've done some cricket.
I did martial arts for a long time.
Martial arts.
Yeah, I did martial arts for a long time.
In martial arts, you could probably relate then, because in martial arts, you have to be locked into what you're doing and focused, disciplined in a lot of ways. That can also create a lot of confidence and a strong mindset. Sports has always been good for that.
Yes, sports is definitely a way to, especially extreme sports, I would imagine, is because I don't do extreme sports, but I keep hearing how it really, you really can't afford to be thinking too much. So you literally are forced to be right there in the moment, in the zone, like base jumpers, I guess skiers.
Super G skiing, or what's it called?
Any kind of like dangerous sport would be like a great way to access that in the zone. But yeah, I mean, all of this is really kind of like, so the way that I see it is accepting that you're good enough, and then approaching it, knowing that approaching what you want to do, knowing that on the other side, it's going to be way different than what you expect. Like, the people are going to not be thinking what you expect. The whole experience isn't going to be as bad as you expect. And then 3, which is what you've just mentioned, which is just like focusing on delivering in that moment, or being present in that moment.
Being present in that moment. Stop letting outside influence destroy your confidence, destroy your mindset.
Because what else are you going to do? Like, I mean, you're there for a reason, so you might as well focus. And that whole process there is like, I want to do something. I'm not sure if I can do it, but I'm going to try anyway. That's that. What about right now in this climate where you're being presented with something you didn't even want to deal with, and you're unsure because it's so the uncertainty is just through the roof. Like for
with
example,
the virus and everything.
Yeah, like with the virus, with the economy, with people's jobs. How do we? The mindset approach for that is slightly different. I mean,
on the last podcast, we definitely talked about this in a lot of depth. But in terms of mindset, again, like we've said a billion times, you have to be optimistic. You have to see this as an opportunity. Out of crisis comes opportunity. If you can't see that, you're going to have a really hard time. You're going to struggle during this transition that we're going through. So you have to realize that, okay, a lot of people are stuck in quarantine. I'm stuck in quarantine. Some people are on lockdown. Some people are in martial law. Some people are experiencing outside influence and violence and things like that. The stock markets are bad and are getting worse. The banking system is being bailed out again and could collapse. this virus that is killing a lot of people and that is infecting and making sick a lot of people is going to keep going up and up until it plateaus. And it's not going to plateau for a while. That's just the reality. 2 weeks is not going to stop the virus. It's going to take months. It's going to take a long time. It could be the rest of the year. I really don't know. And it based on projections by the Gates Foundation and Johns Hopkins and Event 201 last November, a virus like this, a coronavirus, could kill 64 million people by the time it's all over at its worst. So you're looking at millions of people worldwide actually dying from this. Yeah, it's very negative. It's hard to put it aside and, be focused and do things that are important, but you have to put yourself in a mindset to look for opportunity, and you have to be creative right now. You have a huge opportunity where everyone is yanked out of their routine. Everyone is forced to be in a certain situation. There is no better opportunity, time, or market for you to target right now than the one that's stuck at home with cash. So if you're an entrepreneur, this is a golden age for you. If you're a business owner, this is a chance for you to pivot and be flexible and for people to accept that. If you're a customer, or if you're just an individual looking for, things to do, or if you're trying to build a personal brand, now's a great time to do that. There's so much attention being focused onto the internet and social media. Your mindset has to be optimistic. I don't know how else to put it. You have to look at what's happening globally in these situations, what's happening in society, and you have to take advantage of it for yourself and for others. There's a lot of positive and good you can do and charitable work, but at the same time, for yourself and for your life, don't look at it as a setback. Don't look at it as a dark day in history where everything is terrible. Start looking for the opportunity.
I think it's so someone listening to this might tomorrow wake up and start the day well, and they might watch a lot of inspirational content or do anything that inspires them. And then halfway through the day, they'll be derailed by some news, maybe someone they know, or their parents have died or whatever, because of the virus or whatever. That's happened to me recently. And then they might spiral backwards into their previous mindset. And what I find helps me is two things. One, having the ability to catch myself and be honest with myself. So as soon as I notice that I'm off track, because I'm always trying to catch myself when I'm off track. So I'm trying to compare, and then I'll catch myself and I'll be like, oh, right, we're going there again. Okay, we need to pull ourselves back again. So I'll do the whole thing. I'll try and get inspired again or whatever. Doesn't really matter. But as soon as you know that you're going off track, pull yourself back. The second thing that really helps is, like we mentioned earlier, to be around people that are going to pull you in the right direction. And that means getting yourself a new peer group. And there is a very popular expression. I think it's a cliche because it's true. You are the product of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So whether that's by WhatsApp, probably WhatsApp these days. Come on, what else are you going to do? But just try to surround yourself. If it's not people you can speak to, because it's very hard to socialize right now, just pick some people that are publishing content online and just consume it all the time. And it's the same
interact, engage. And piggybacking on the whole peer thing. Yes, it's incredibly important. It really is. It's good for you. It's good for them. But if you hang out with 5 people, let's say, and that makes the average you, based on their quality and who they are as people. If you rely on those 5 people, just rely on them for strength, energy, confidence to exude onto you. What are you exuding onto them? What are you to them? Like, what are you putting out. Like, it's important to have that, but it's also important for you to understand that if you were completely alone and nobody wanted to help you, how would you succeed? What would your mindset be like? Could you do it anyways? You have to also have this independent mindset, almost this killer mentality that you are willing to go out and do whatever it takes to accomplish whatever your goals are, whatever your standards are, to uphold your values and be firm with them. You shouldn't just rely on your peer group, your friend group, because they can disappear. And yeah, while they do round you out as a person, what are you contributing to them? Are you the weak link in that group? Like, who are you to them as well? Like, you have to consider that. And if you look in the mirror, a lot of people might be unhappy to realize that they rely too much on that. If you took your 5 closest friends and they wanted nothing to do with you ever again, would you sink into depression? Would you get upset? Would you be unhappy with life? Would you not want to be motivated anymore? That shouldn't be your mentality. If you took everything away, would you still fight and claw for what you want? That's what you have to assess. And I think when you get to the core of it with mindset, it's an individual thing. It's completely solely individual. And once you have to better yourself. The more you can better yourself, the more your peer group is also going to help contribute to you and how you're going to contribute to your peer group.
Yeah, I don't think one thing comes before the other. I think this is just it's like they're all happening concurrently. This development, this growth, whether it's internal or whether it's in your circles or whether it's in your profession or whatever, all has to be happening concurrently. Unfortunately, we can't do it sequentially. I mean, come on, it would be ridiculous. And you're going to make mistakes along the way. But in order to have a mindset like what you've just described, which is very difficult for people to get if they're not already there, it's, in my opinion, based on the books that I read, for example, I almost fell over. Like this one here. Yeah. I know, right? Dude, imagine.
On Podshots.
Podcaster seriously injures himself trying to reach for a book. This one's really good. This is Principles by Ray Dalio. Mm-hmm. This actually explains a lot about getting a mindset like what we've discussed in this podcast. Because if you find it hard to do things by yourself that you need to do, there is the high possibility that you do not fully grasp the consequences of not doing so. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, yeah, you have to frame it in a way that is harsh and real, not just in a survival capacity, like, oh, if I don't do this, I'll die because I won't have any money to eat, but also in an existential way, like, if I don't do this, what kind of a man am I going to be? What kind of a woman am I going to be? Is that the kind of person I want to live my life as? So there are philosophical questions that you need to spend time on. If you don't have time to ask these important questions, I wouldn't expect much change in your life. And books like this are pretty good because they help you kind of create those frameworks to be able to get to those conclusions.
Mm-hmm. And I've read some of that too. And it's called Principles for a reason. Yeah. Principles have nothing to do with your friend group. Principles have nothing to do with external forces. Principles have everything to do with you. Mm. Principles are your own. So no matter whether you have everything you could possibly want in life, the perfect friend group, the perfect situation, all the money, 10 super hot Arabic women, it doesn't fucking matter.
Did you just say Arabic women?
Arabic. I was like, if you had 10 beautiful women legally, where would you be able to do that? And I guess like they'd be
right, because I thought this is a side of Brandon I haven't heard of yet.
I don't know. That could be a fantasy.
It could be a fantasy. I know there's a category for it somewhere online, but okay.
But or on the flip side, on the other side of the coin, let's say you lost everything, or you never had anything. or you're in a situation where no one will help you, you're desperate, and all you have is yourself. All you have is your mind and your mindset. Are you able to handle that situation? Like, put yourself in theoretical scenarios and ask yourself, could you do it? And if you don't think you can, then it's time for you to assess your principles, to grow as a person. Challenge yourself, build yourself. Don't let yourself be vulnerable to a situation like that. That can hurt you in life, and that can send people down a very, very dark path. And most people never take the time to build themselves up.
Most people don't, man.
No, but you should.
It's so sad. I'll tell you something, man. My life changed dramatically when I realized the questions I was asking myself were really shitty quality questions. Mm-hmm. Like, for example, I don't know, let's just think back. I mean, I used to go, okay, this is a funny story. I would go to a food stand every lunch where I worked when I was growing up in my 20s. And I would go to a food stand and it served carbohydrate, like sausage sandwiches, carbohydrates, patties, and then you put the sausage in there, oily shit that they've just grilled on the stove, and you put like ketchup, and there'd be like an egg on top of it, and you would eat that. Like, I'd eat it and I'd fucking fall asleep afterwards, right? And I would think to myself, this is just how life is. How can I work harder? But then when I started like reading and learning about how the body works and how digestion works and how calories are, I was asking myself a better quality question, which is, what else should I really be eating for lunch, and how much should I be eating for lunch? And it changed my life. Up until that point, I just thought it was normal to fall asleep after lunch, which is pretty stupid.
When it comes to food, the analogy that I was once told by a trainer I had that really forced me to, it really changed my whole mindset on eating. I enjoy myself. I'll have a burger with egg and avocado and
I know you will.
Shit. I've done it with you plenty of times. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But when you're trying to build your body, when you're trying to perform, when you want your body to be at its best, think of your body like a sport car. If your body was a Ferrari, do you put in regular gasoline or do you put in fucking premium?
Yeah.
You want your body to perform, you have to provide it with the proper fuel to perform. Don't sludge it down. Don't fuck up the gears. Don't fuck up the engine. If you need your body to do something, if you need your mind to be right, fuel yourself correctly. You have a long life, plenty of time to try food and enjoy it, and do whatever you want. But don't do it every day. Don't go fucking get a giant burger every single day. Don't eat fucking fast food every single day. Don't eat like shit all the time. Come up with, when it comes to food, come up with a routine of what you want to eat, what you should eat. Build a diet around your lifestyle. And there's a lot of resources out there to help you with that too. There's so many fucking resources will make you throw up. So I'm serious. There's so much out there. You could get as intricate as counting every fucking macro in your diet. You could get that crazy. Don't do it, but still, the options are out there. Like, the only
reason why you would want to do that is if you're performing, is if you're cheers.
There we go. Tink.
I think I'm getting a little bit better at this, but it still fucking stinks.
I don't know who Jameson is, but I think he'd be very proud of us right now.
I think he'd be like, sons, that's not how we designed it to be drank. We're like, sorry, I didn't realize. I think the only reason you would want to count your macros is if you're, you're training for something and you want to, like a Marvel movie and you want to have like an amazing body. That's probably a good example of when you'd want to do that. But otherwise, this book, and this is not a book show, but it's turning into a book show. This book is really good. It's called Atomic Habits. And basically, it's a very practical book. It explains why and how we develop habits. It explains how to notice when you're doing something habitual and how to break the cycle. And like, for example, when it comes to food, it's a habit when we eat bad food all the time. And so, but it can be very difficult to break that just because of how it makes you feel. It's like a drug. And people struggle with this. So changing things like diet, it's not about the taste. It's not about the feeling necessarily. It's about the person you become as a result of making those changes and the longevity that you gain from it, or the improvement in the way your body operates. Like, you get more energy, or you look better, or you go to the toilet more often. I mean, things like this are can be huge for people. So yeah, habits is another thing people will encounter challenges with as they go down the road of trying to optimize their mindset, because unfortunately our actions get in the way of changing our mindset.
Well, our actions form our habits. So if you practice good actions, you'll eventually form good habits.
Right.
I know that's a very old one. Like, what you think becomes words, what words become actions, actions become habits, and habits defines who you are. So, I mean, yeah, it's an old saying. It's true though, and you can break it down. But assess what you're doing every day. Like, what are you thinking about? Start with your mindset. Like, how are you thinking? And how is that translating into what you say to people? And then what are you saying? How is that translating into actions? Like, what kind of energy, what kind of verbal things are you putting out to the universe that's causing you to do things physically? And then look at your actions.
The most challenging thing that you had trouble with when it came to changing your mindset or changing the way you felt about something or a habit, like what was something you really found, oh my god, this is fucking, you had to do like a few times? Or
I think when it comes to changing my mindset, I think the hardest thing was creating some kind of repetition. When you can't just say, okay, I'm a badass now and it's going to be like that forever. No, it doesn't work like that. That you should have the mindset that you are a badass, that you have swag, and that you're the fucking shit wherever you go. Yeah, awesome. Stop giving a fuck. All these great things we've talked about. It doesn't happen instantly though. You're not going to listen to this podcast and all of a sudden you're a fucking badass. It doesn't work like that. It works because of repetition, because of practice, working on your craft, beating on your craft every single day. Stop beating on your dick and beat on your craft.
How did I know you were going to bring that up? Yeah.
Because you have a dirty mind, Clement. You have a dirty fucking mind. But I'm serious. There are people that sit in bed and would rather jack off to Mulan than people that would rather get up, get on the computer and start typing away, or start recording something, or get on social media and produce some content, or pick up the phone and call somebody that would be productive for you to call today. Take actions. Like, if you want to change your mindset, whatever it is, whatever you decide you need to do, you have to do it religiously. You have to do it repetitively.
Have you read the book, Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday?
No.
So Stoicism is essentially very aligned with what we're discussing now. Stoicism is an ancient Greek philosophy as a way of life. Stoicism is something that people like Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, all those great minds were practicing when they came up with their philosophies on life. And you can learn about this. It's actually public domain stuff. You can download, I think, for free, a lot of the teachings from these ancient Greek philosophers. But yeah, I am not Stoic. although I would like to be in certain moments, I would like to be stoic. So I'd like to kind of like encounter a very difficult challenge. And stoicism is essentially saying you are cutting off your emotions so that you can make the most logical, practical decision in that given situation. And yeah, we're talking about fucking Spock level shit, you know?
Yeah.
This is not easy. This is something that we've always struggled with emotion as human beings because we're incredibly emotional people. But obviously that has its caveats. If we want to make better decisions, I think we need to do a better job of controlling how we feel emotionally, which is that whole subject of emotional intelligence. So I don't feel like I need to punish myself for feeling a certain way when I know it gets when I know it kind of interrupts with how I should act in certain situations. But I do make it a point to recognize that maybe the next time this situation occurs, I don't have to be so emotional about it. I have the power to actually decide. Stephen Covey says something in his 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Mm-hmm.
He says between stimulus and response, which is basically the event that happens and how you react to it, there's this gap in time where you can consciously choose the response.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the time we just let our subconscious handle it and take lead, and that we usually go on the same roads, but we can make a choice in that moment and hopefully make a better choice, one that's more difficult. Yeah.
So here's the issue with emotions. We live in a highly analytical society now, where thought and being rational is really, really important. And, as humans through evolution, it's not your fault. We lead with emotion because emotion is a driver for fight or flight. Emotion is a driver for survival instincts. And for a lot of people, it's hard to set that aside when it's time to make an important decision. Let's look at let's take women, for example. Very successful business women. Women in general, men have different issues. I'm not going to pick on women. Men definitely have different hormonal issues. Women also have hormonal issues, but women have a hard time separating emotion sometimes. Men have a hard time, separating emotion in different ways and in different situations. So again, I'm not picking on women. I just want to be very clear about that. But
very sensitive area.
I know I'm going to be careful. But the most successful businesswomen I've ever met, and I've met a lot of them, and they're fucking incredible, better than some of the businessmen I've ever met. And women are incredible at business when they're focused because they can multitask, they can tackle just about anything. They're
handle the social side of it better.
Yeah, socially, they handle everything better. It's almost surprising that you don't see as many women still as men, but that ratio is catching up.
I think there's a few different challenges. The industries are a challenge, that they're all governed by predominantly men, and also I think it's stereotypes. It's just women believe the stereotypes that we've kind of all created together, and it's sad because.
It is. But, the women that put that aside, and, it goes back to the whole attraction thing. What a good man's really attracted to is a confident woman. But when a woman is successful in business, it's because she's learned to take her emotional side, the part of her that she can't necessarily control, and separate it from the business side. There are women I've met that are just fucking assassins in business. And that look completely unemotional no matter what.
Right.
But it's a facade. The reality is they're able to separate who they are biologically as a woman emotionally from the things that are most important. That is what's made them incredibly successful. For men, like let's flip the coin for a minute. So I'm not picking on women. If you look at men, there's a habit to be egotistic, ignorant, overly confident, and things like that in business, at least, can be incredibly devastating.
Disastrous.
As a man, you have to be able to separate this egotism that you have. You have to be able to separate this anger, this combativeness that you have. and discern that from true rational competitiveness. That's how men become incredibly successful in business. That's the flip side of the coin. Just so I'm not picking on women, but whether side of the scale it is, being able to take emotions that we experience in real life and separate them from what we need to do in those moments and how to be focused and motivated and confident and have that killer instinct. This is very important. Emotions have a place in life, but there's a lot of times where your emotions accidentally interject in the wrong ways, and you have to learn to have a grasp on your emotions and what you feel. You have to know who you are as a person. If you need to step out of the room to cry for 5 minutes, go do it, but don't do it in the middle of a meeting. If you have to step out of the room to go punch a hole in the wall, go do it. But don't make a scene in front of everyone at the party, right?
There's actually a few groups of alpha males that are basically running their own groups, teaching men how to be better leaders, how to be better men. And it's kind of like a trend that's happened over the last 5 to 10 years, where these groups are emerging and they're basically bringing men to terms with, maybe the new way of life, which is where many men have become emasculated, and many men have lost that alpha, aspect of them, the leader, the focused person who can make like the right decisions at the right time. So it's fascinating listening to the leaders of these groups talk, and I don't agree with everything all the time, but essentially, there are incredibly important lessons that need to be taught about managing emotions and actually realizing what's important and what's not in the bigger picture, what your role is in a relationship or society or your profession, and clarity on your own philosophies about life. This this whole podcast, we've gone through so much on this episode.
It's good though. We've talked about so many topics in depth. I feel like we haven't really fucked off as much as we have in the first episode. Like we really, I feel like we provided a lot more value in episode 2. Okay, we'll try and balance that out in episode 3. We'll try and do some dumb shit. We'll be a little bit.
Oh, there's loads of opportunities for that.
I want to try. I want to try that that whiteboard. How do I pull up that whiteboard?
Give it a shot. Let's see.
Where's that whiteboard? Manage, share.
Let's see.
I know it's in here.
Is it not a plugin?
No, it's in here. I just got to find it.
Oh, I think you need to share your screen before you can use it.
Close that.
There you go. Click share and then click whiteboard.
Share. Oh, wait. Share.
And then whiteboard.
There it is. There it is. All right, guys. We have a whiteboard.
Woo! Yeah, baby.
I definitely want to use this more in the future. So I'm going to draw.
Can you type on that as well? Or is it just drawing? Oh, no. What are we going to see here? I have a feeling it's going to be sexual, but I might be wrong.
It could be sexual. You really don't.
Oh, it's the alien. You're obsessed with aliens, aren't you?
No, I am definitely not.
You draw them every time.
Well, they're easy to draw. They just have a big fucking head and a little body.
Right. Okay, because that's what aliens look like. Okay.
Yes,
all right.
That's what aliens look like.
Do you believe in that shit? Do you believe in the stuff that Area 51 was? What the? That Area 51's basically been hosting alien.
I really should have colored him green. It's fine. I don't know. That's a good question. I think that I think it's definitely possible. I mean, if you look at the Fermi paradox and you look at the likelihood that we are alone in the universe, if the universe is infinite, the answer is, are we alone? Is no. Of course we're not alone. There's somebody out there. Now, the reality that we're actually going to run into somebody, that we're actually going to get a message from somebody, that we're in the right time for that is very unlikely as well. This is like a Super Saiyan alien.
That's definitely Dragon Ball Z.
Okay, we're done with that.
It's kind of like a mix between the current meme of that black guy that's floating around right now and Dragon Ball Z.
It is. How do I close this fucking chat window?
Let's close this up with another shot, and then we're done. 5 shots in, I think.
What were we talking about? We were talking about aliens.
Area 51.
Area 51.
The likelihood of
the Fermi paradox. I mean, okay. Before we take the shot, while I have my brain working, let's talk about aliens just for a second. Okay. Is it likely that there are aliens out there in an infinite universe? Yes. If the universe is infinite and infinitely expanding, then yeah, they're there. They're out there. What's the likelihood they're going to stumble on our little blue and green marble? It's not very likely, though. And how likely is it if time has been infinitely back in the past and is infinitely forward, that we're in the same timeline as them?
Yeah.
That's the other thing you have to consider. It's very, very unlikely that we are going to interact with them, this civilization, if they are out there. But again, you have to take in many, many factors. And this gets really complicated, because what if there is a civilization in the future, if the future is infinite, that has the ability to come back into the past and locate another civilization?
That would be crazy.
Right? So let's say we have an infinite timeline, an infinite future. Okay, let's say sometime in the future, there is a race that figures out how to go back in time and how to locate another civilization.
Yeah. Okay. Like in, can you remember that movie Interstellar?
Yeah, like Interstellar. That movie throws you through a loop. But I love the concept of how they explore gravity, how they explore love, how they explore all these different things as emotional, as drivers, as pulls, as push, as communication, as
Arrival is also great for that too.
Arrival is pretty good too. I like Arrival because it definitely runs like a loop through the Jesus, I filled this all the way up. It has like this time loop too. It's really, really good. Arrival is a very underrated movie. If you haven't watched it, you should go watch it. Yeah, they're like walking octopuses and like smoke, but it's the concept of it is pretty good. I was watching that movie and I was like, don't they need water? Like isn't that an octopus? Like, don't they need fucking water? Like, what is that
tree? I thought it was a tree.
Like, are they in a fucking party? What's with all the fucking fog? Like, where's the I was so confused by that, but the concept behind the movie was incredible.
It was great. Like, the whole storyline was an eye-opening storyline. It's like the twist at the end was great, and
I loved how they could get into her mind and how they could show her the future via her past, and how they could also show her an alternative future, like with this other dude she was this entire time.
Yeah.
She could envision an entire future if she was with this dude and what that would be like for her and her daughter. Not future, but also her past. It was a really interesting movie and how they dove into that, and they took time. Instead of putting time in a linear fashion, they put it in a circular fashion. I love it when they explore concepts like that in movies.
Yeah. It makes you wonder how it is to be in the writer's room. You know, it must be an amazing experience to be able to brainstorm with people like this. And I wonder what they do to get the juices flowing. Do you know what I mean? Like, if they just walk in there and they sit down and they get a cup of coffee and they're like, right, let's do this. Let's start talking about it. Or if they just all snort like fucking 5 lines of Coke before they start.
Someone in that room was really, really high. And he was like, guys, guys, time. It's like this. What if time was like this?
I wouldn't be surprised. I really wouldn't be surprised. Another good movie, sci-fi movie about aliens and time travel is Contact with...
Contact is pretty good.
Contact was pretty good. I can't remember the
classic.
name of that actress, but she's really good.
Joanne Foster.
Jodie Foster. There you go.
Okay. See, I know this. It's a good
that
movie. I like that one. It explores the concept of finding intelligent life, but also religion.
Yes.
And it was interesting because it kind of blended both of those together in the end. And it kind of left you wondering what actually happened.
Yes.
But it was a very emotional movie, which it's fine. I mean, it's a really, really good movie. It's a classic. But I like that one. I like Interstellar a lot. I thought they explored a lot of concepts you don't get to explore.
He's done a new movie now, Chris Nolan, Tenet, coming out soon.
Yeah.
It's about time travel. Again, but a very interesting concept. It's an action movie, I think, but I'm excited about that one.
Another good movie is Inception. I love Inception. I love the concept. Yeah, I know. I love the concept of a dream, because we always think of like everything that's bigger than us and us like going out to the universe and all these crazy things and time travel, but we never really think about what's happening in our minds. We never think about consciousness. We never think about dreaming, what that could be. The idea behind it, like when you do fall asleep and you have, let's say, a very lucid dream, a dream where you feel like everything is real and you can manipulate everything. You're aware you're dreaming. It doesn't happen often, but it's an incredible experience.
I think I've had like one or two lucid dreams in my life.
I've had quite a few. I've had quite a few. It's interesting because you fall asleep. If you practice it enough, you can do it. It's hard, but once you realize you're dreaming,
multiple orgasms for men.
I know. It's incredible.
People don't realize that you can actually learn how to do these things, and it's amazing.
But everything that is real in real life, you can experience that in a dream once you realize you're in a dream, because then you can start in your mind manipulating the fabric of that dream. You can be with anyone you want to be with. You can do anything you want to do. You can have 10 dicks and fuck 10 women at the same time while
coming out here,
while riding a train into the sunset. Like, you can do anything you want.
Anything's possible. Yeah. Exactly. I actually feel like lucid dreams would be a great sandbox area to just experiment with what's possible in reality. Like, I've got this idea that I could try this. And then in a lucid dream, all of a sudden it's possible, and you're building it and you're experiencing it. And then when you wake up, you're like, that's how I'm going to do it.
I feel like the problem with that, though, with dreams is there's no physics to a dream. Like, I can't put like natural law into my dreams. Like, for some reason, I have a hard time running, or I can, for some reason, I can see all the way into the bedroom of that building that's a couple blocks down the street, or I can do things that aren't physically natural in the real world that we experience.
Welcome to AI plus VR.
Yeah, and I think that might, ground people a little more in that aspect. This has got to be the last shot, bro. Tink.
It has to be the last shot, bro.
This is hard on me.
All right.
Fucking Jameson, bro.
Fuck me, that's a hell of an experience for our viewers today. Jameson, it's on sale everywhere around the world.
Go to your local store. Buy a Jameson.
This is how we'll do it when we get sponsorship.
If your girl wants a fine wine for dinner and she wants some cheese and crackers, say no. Buy her Jameson. Make her take a She'll love it. I guarantee it. If you go to the store and you want Lucky Charms, buy Jameson with your Lucky Charms. What are you fucking doing? Why not? Buy Jameson. It's good. It's smooth, lovely.
Good. I like it.
Jameson, please sponsor us. Please sponsor us.
It's definitely it's a hearty drink. Like you can it really stays in your mouth for a while. Like that's it.
Guys, please don't shoot Jameson though.
Don't shoot it.
Please put it over some ice and enjoy it. It really is a good drink.
It's taking off years from our lifespan right now.
It very well might be, but you know, it could be worth it. So guys out there, girls out there, others out there, please subscribe to the podcast and support our drinking, because we're killing our livers for you. And I think you should like this simply because we're, you know, drinking for your pleasure. We're not drinking because we want to drink. We're drinking
like
for
this.
you. We hate this. We hate this podcast. We don't want to do it, but we're doing it for you. Provide you value because we love you.
Oh my God. Jesus Christ.
All right, Clement. Anything else we should touch on before we wrap up?
I think we've touched enough this episode, to be fair with you.
Okay.
Touched everything. But yeah, I wouldn't add anything else. I mean, like, honestly, what would be really great is if anyone who's like listened to this point would want to give feedback. I would be more than happy to get that. And also, if they have suggestions on what we should cover or what we should drink, that would also be awesome too.
Yeah, or if you have any thoughts whatsoever, like on the video, like this is on YouTube, go into the comments, just throw shit down there. We'll check it out. You know, just, you know, we'll engage with you. We promise. Like, we're very interactive, both of us on social media. Like, go into the comments, shoot us a message. We're more than happy to interact. We talked about a lot of shit in this episode, but it's for you. It's for your value. So take away what you wish, and we'd love to have feedback too. Like, again, if you want us to try a certain alcohol, if you want us to talk about something drunk, inebriated, we'll do it. Like, you want us to wear something, you want us to wear nothing, you want us to dance around, we probably won't do that, but you can suggest it. So I think that you should go into the comments and be just whatever's on your mind. I don't care. If whatever's on your mind, just put it in there. I want your criticism.
By the end of this season, however long the season is,
this season is going to last indefinitely because we don't.
We're going to have a huge tolerance to alcohol by the end of this season, I think.
Yeah, we are. Either that or one of our episodes will be in the hospital. One or the other.
Yeah, or one of us just won't show up one episode and it'll be like, he's in the hospital right now.
Clement's never showed up. He's having an issue with the alcohol. So
his liver has failed, and would like any shows of compassion from the show, please.
He had so much Jameson that he is permanently talking in the Irish.
We could do a whole episode in a different accent.
We could do a whole episode in an accent. That would be difficult, but I feel like
that'd be really difficult, wouldn't it? If we were talking like serious topics.
All right, fuck it.
Seriously.
Want to commit? All right, let's commit. We'll do an episode.
Okay, we can try one. We have to go the whole way. It won't make sense if we stop halfway through.
Okay, we'll do an episode in an accent. Fully.
And it could be two separate accents. Yeah.
Sure, it could be two separate accents.
That's going to be difficult, but we can try it.
It'll be fucking difficult, Clement, but I mean, we're doing it for the people. We're doing it for the people.
Get to the point where you're talking about something so serious and it's so close to your heart and it's so emotional that you're crying, but you have to speak in that different accent, and you're like
when I was 40 years old, my father took me out to the creek and he showed me the chickens on the side of the creek, and he said, son, get the nets. Son, get the nets. And I was like, why, father? Why should I get the nets? And then my father told me, we're going to drown a chicken today. And I was like, why are we going to drown a chicken? And he was like, because it makes the meat better, son. It makes the poultry better. We have to drown the chicken properly. Like, why do we need to drown the chicken, father? Why can't we just kill the chicken? Why do we have to drown the chicken? And then my father told me, it'll make you a man. It'll make you a man. And then I looked at him and I cried. And I cried dearly. Yeah, you want me to be like that? We'll be like that. All right.
We could be like that.
We'll talk about drowning chickens and
I think we should save that for an episode further down the line. Or maybe we can do it early so we can get out of the way so that when we get more subscribers, it's like they don't see that episode.
We'll make that a private episode. You have to pay to see it.
Pay to see that one.
we'll have our own pay-per-view content.
All right. Well, that was a good one. I actually really liked that one.
This is a good episode. I think that there's a lot of value in this, just being honest with people, not fucking around. It's we talked a lot about Jameson. I think that you guys in general will enjoy it. Being serious, like, it's a good alcohol. Jameson, please sponsor us. I also think that we talked about a lot of fucking shit. We talked about social media. We talked about blue light. We talked about mindset mostly overall. Talked about aliens. Drew a picture of an alien with a big fat cock. Talked about drowning cocks. There's a lot to take out of this episode, guys. So, yeah,
we hope you enjoyed it.
I don't know how to close an episode like this, but
we don't know how to close it, but we're going to close it. So
we're going to close
until the next episode. We'll see you.
All right, Clemente. Peace. To the next.